Archibald Motley was born in 1891, and he was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I often parallel him to Louis Armstrong, also a New Orleans person, also somebody who made his way from New Orleans to Chicago, but very, very different backgrounds. Louis Armstrong was working class New Orleans, and Archibald Motley was elite New Orleans. His father was a Pullman porter, and anybody who knows African American history knows that Pullman porters were our ambassadors. They were intellectuals. They read. They were very knowledgeable. They shared newspapers from all over the world within the communities that they lived in. So Archibald Motley was the beneficiary of this father who understood something about the importance of culture and knowledge. The other person who we have to give praise to is opposite me. I can't get to her portrait, but that's Archibald Motley's mother. It's the earliest portrait in this the earliest painting in this exhibition, in the late 19 teens. Mary was from Louisiana. Emily Sims Motley moved from Louisiana with Archibald's father and of her son and Mary to Chicago. And so she lived with the family in Chicago up until the late 1920s when she died. Her bedroom was right next to Archibald Motley's studio. And again, this is a portrait that has haunted me from the very beginning of actually seeing it and engaging with it. This is a woman who's towards the end of her life. This is a woman who's a humble woman. This is a woman who he has placed in this stark background. He's purposely given this a monochromatic world, gray, black, white. The only chroma that we get is her brown face. And then the hands. These are hands that you can tell have seen labor and have seen pain and have seen arthritis. As I've often told my students, there are all these internal patterns and rhythms that he incorporates into the work. These two bodies kind of creating the same pattern. These two bodies creating the same pattern. These arms doing kind of the same thing. So he's building into the composition repetition. But it's not just kind of simplistic repetition, it's repetition and improvisation. I also think that one can diagram this painting. You can start in the upper left-hand corner and do the vin rouge. You can go to the middle and you get the cigarette and the smoke, the tobacco, and then you can go all the way to the lower right-hand corner. You know, Motley was one of those foot guys, so if he was around, in the 21st century, he'd be going crazy with his Louboutin shoes and what have you. So we have this disembodied foot, kind of floating above his name, above his signature, A.J. Motley, Paris, France. So it's a piece that one can deal with diagrammatically, and one can deal with compositionally and rhythmically to really feel the art of the New Negro.
That you get in this work, which makes it so impressive, is this sense of voyeurism that was developed by people like Hopper, but you get this, cinema and the camera start to become these instruments for voyeurism, and there's something about the way he's cropped it and positioned it that I think you get that it's almost like a camera panning, and then just to have these focal points, like the incredible smoke of the cigarette is so amazing. I also think, I can't help but think that the crowded composition and the shallow picture plane is, he's learned a little bit from Italian mannerism and seeing the way they cram these figures together, and that's his subtle art historical nod there.